And then for the Eagles, you see what's next. Potentially, does Zach Bond get paid? What do you think?
I mean, Zach Bond, one of the best values in the league last year.
There's no doubt.
1 year, $5 million is a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Can they afford to do that? I think that you saw the brilliance of what Howie Roseman did to build that team in the Super Bowl too, where they can come in waves. They got Milton Williams out there making huge plays in the Super Bowl and looking like he should be one of their best players, and he's like their 7th defensive lineman.
Josh Sweat as well.
You pay your own guys, right? Josh Sweat had a great game. Another guy who's up in free agency here. You know, the one thing that Howie's done is he's given himself optionality on both those lines. Where, hey, all right, if somebody leaves in free agency, we got the next guy up. We move on from Hassan Reddick. We sign a guy who didn't make a huge impact in Bryce Huff, and we've still got all these other dudes because we just keep drafting them here. The job one for the Eagles here is figuring out the offensive coordinator situation with Kellen Moore leaving for New Orleans, and this is once again you're going to go into another year with another new coordinator. Jalen Hurts having new voices in his ear. Do they promote from within and promote Kevin Patullo? Do they go outside once again? That's a big part of what they got to figure out here.
Okay. And so, and Sirianni getting a new contract too, right? He's not going to just go into his walk year like Mike McCarthy did.
Well, if they don't pay him what he's worth, he certainly could. I mean, coaching contracts, Rich, have skyrocketed. If you go through what people were getting this year and you look at where, even for the first time guys, much less the second contract guys, if you're Nick Sirianni and you're still young, he's, I think, in his early 40s. He just won a Super Bowl. He's been in the playoffs all 4 years and went to another Super Bowl in his first 4 years. I mean, that's one of the most successful coaches we've ever seen in his first opportunity here. I'm sitting there if I'm Nick Sirianni and going, well, there's other guys making 13, 14 million who haven't even won a playoff game.
Who's that? Give me names.
There's coaches.
Why is this?
Why
is this such tightly held information? Why? Because I mean, a player signs, we know exactly what the outs are.
There's a couple reasons.
Okay.
One is because there's no central system for coaching. It's the Wild West. With coaching, there's no rules. There's no organizing body for the agents. They don't have to input everything like you do for players. There's no salary cap. So the other part of it is a lot of these coaching contracts now, they include other stuff. In other words, the number, so clubs can ask the league and they'll give you the high, low, the median and tell you where they are. But a lot of the high numbers are deflated because they don't include the massive incentives that are in deals or annuities or other things that are included that are kind of additive. I talked about it with you on game day morning. Andy Reid on his latest deal, not only is he the highest paid coach, but he can earn $3.5 million per year in incentives. So he gets 500, 500, 500 by winning the first 3 playoff weeks, $2 million if he wins the Super Bowl. So is Andy Reid's contract, is he making upwards of $20 million? If he wins the Super Bowl, he is. And there's right now a half dozen coaches who are in the 16-plus range. So if I'm Sirianni, I want to be in that group.
Of course.
I'm thinking 15, 16 is the baseline for what I should be getting. Jimmy Sexton will be doing the deal. He's done a ton of these contracts. He's not going to sit there and go, we'll just take $12 million. No, this is going to be, if Sirianni's deal gets done, I think it's fair to say it'll be $15 million plus per year. That's the going rate. And if the Eagles don't want to go there, and you're Sirianni, you've got a tremendous amount of leverage to just say, I'm going to coach the thing out.
What are the new guys making?
The new guys are making, it depends. There are some that are the bottom, the baseline for coaches right now
are the Dallas Cowboys.
It's $6 to $7 million. I would fairly say Brian Schottenheimer is toward the lower end, not at the bottom, from what I've been told, but he's in the bottom half. But the upper end, everybody, there's probably a dozen coaches. I have to look at my spreadsheet, but there's probably a dozen coaches that are making $12 million plus now.
And
that's a lot.
And they haven't won a playoff game.
And there's a bunch that have not won a playoff game. Ben Johnson, highest paid first-time head coach ever. It is a very large deal.
What's the number?
I think there's some numbers that have been thrown out there. I think it's fair to say he is one of those in that group that I'm saying Nick Sirianni needs to be beating.
Mike McDaniel?
Mike McDaniel signed that extension last year. He's still in the bottom half.
I'm just looking at guys. I'm looking at guys who have never won a playoff game.
I don't want to get, but I find this interesting, if you don't mind me sort of placing the way you do your job and the way people in your position do their jobs under a microscope here. But obviously, there's an information highway that you need to drive and you need to be on. You need to be in that high occupancy vehicle lane, but this is information where front offices don't want this stuff out there. They don't want it out there.
Well, in part because
why? But I don't understand. Like, as a quarterback, a
There's
running back, and we
immense
know exactly
amounts.
how much they make, what their
Right.
dead cap is, whether they're designated this or that. And we're going to take a break and talk Rodgers and things of that nature coming up. But
again, it's partly because different contracts are set up different ways. There's some teams that do a ton in terms of incentives,
Right.
Other stuff that has nothing to do with just salary, and those are ways that on paper they can go, well, he's making this, when really it's a higher number. You got guys like Jerry Jones, who several times has stood in front of his fellow owners and said, these coaching contracts are bloated. We're overpaying these guys. Look at all the dead money, $1 billion in dead money. We can't keep doing this. And Jerry, and this is not in any way a shot at Brian Schottenheimer, but Jerry accomplished what he wanted to with hiring, with parting ways with Mike McCarthy and ultimately hiring Brian Schottenheimer, which was he didn't really have to change anything. It's kind of a continuation of the same program. Schotty will do some things differently here, but he didn't have to get into a bidding war for one of these top head coaching candidates or extend a coach who's a Super Bowl winner and deserves to be paid with the upper echelon of coaches. Jerry's been trying to prove for 30 years that coaching doesn't matter that much. It's the same way that the wedge was driven with Jimmy Johnson, where it was, anybody could have coached this team. How many times has Jerry said 500 different people could coach the Dallas Cowboys, would want to coach? He interviewed 4.
catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.